Today I will reveal the secret power of indifference that attracts any woman. Many men don't realize that their constant search for female validation is sabotaging their chances. In fact, ancient Stoicism holds the key to authentic masculine attraction. In the next few minutes, I will show you how to develop a magnetic indifference that will completely transform your interactions. Indifference isn't just a seduction technique, it's a philosophy of life that places your purpose above female approval. First, let's understand why your current attempts are likely sabotaging your chances. Have you noticed how it seems the more you show interest in a woman, the less she reciprocates? It's not a coincidence. It's a psychological principle called reactance theory. The more available you seem, the less valuable you become in her eyes. Think about the last times you were in this situation. Immediate replies to her messages, total availability in your schedule, constant compliments. And what was the result? She friend-zoned you or simply ghosts you. Frustrating, isn't it? Female biology is programmed to seek the highest value partner possible. And how does she evaluate this value? Not by what you say, but by what your actions reveal about your true status. When you are constantly available, sending message after message, anxiously waiting for replies, you are signaling, I don't have many options, you are my top priority. And that paradoxically communicates low value. Now imagine how many hours you've spent analyzing female behavior, trying to decipher mixed signals, getting frustrated with ghosting. What if I told you there's an approach that completely reverses this dynamic, that makes her start pursuing you, that completely turns the game in your favor? In the next few minutes, I will reveal the 4 pillars of magnetic attraction that very few men know. If you're already tired of mediocre results, leave your like right now and let's transform your reality. The first pillar of magnetic attraction is what I call the principle of emotional scarcity. Basic psychology teaches us that we value more what is rare, what is difficult to get. When you become emotionally scarce, not in a manipulative way, but genuinely focused on your own life, you instantly become more valuable. Consider this scenario. 2 messages arrive on her phone. The first is yours, elaborate, full of questions, trying to keep the conversation alive at all costs. The second is from a guy who replies briefly, sometimes takes hours, doesn't show a need for approval. Which message generates more curiosity? Which man seems to have a more interesting life? Which one will she try to impress? Genuine emotional scarcity creates a magnetic vacuum that she instinctively tries to fill. This is the power of being selective with your time and emotional energy. You're not playing games, you are genuinely valuing yourself, and that is irresistibly attractive. One of my most dedicated students was stuck in the validation cycle with a woman he had a crush on for months. He sent daily messages, was always available, did everything to please her. The result? She treated him like a reliable friend, nothing more. We implemented the principle of emotional scarcity. He stopped initiating contact, started taking longer to reply, became less available. On the 10th day, she sent 4 messages in a row, asking if everything was okay. On the 20th day, she suggested they go out. The change wasn't in her. It was in the energy he projected. Now think honestly. In your current interactions, where are you demonstrating excessive need for validation? Where are you sacrificing your own value to please? The first step is brutal self-awareness. Emotional scarcity on its own is already transformative, but when combined with the second pillar, intentional masculine polarity, the results are explosive. Attraction between man and woman is not based on similarity, but on complementarity. Feminine energy is naturally attracted to authentic masculine energy, not the artificial and toxic version, but the genuine essence of the masculine: presence, direction, purpose. The mistake many men make today is trying to neutralize their masculine energy, believing this will make them more attractive. They become passive, indirect, avoid leading, and then they wonder why women lose interest. Intentional masculine polarity means deliberately embracing qualities like decisiveness, assertiveness, and protectiveness, not to dominate, but to create the space where femininity can naturally flourish. When you soften your masculinity to please, you eliminate the very tension that creates attraction. Think about the last date you were on. Who decided the location? Who suggested the next step? Who led the conversation? If you are constantly asking, what do you want to do? Where do you want to go? What do you prefer? You are unconsciously abdicating the energy she wants to experience in you. Try this over the next 7 days. Make decisions with confidence, not in an authoritarian way, but with quiet certainty. Let's go to this place Friday at 8. You'll like it. Observe the response. Well-executed masculine polarity isn't about control. It's about creating a magnetic field of attraction where you lead and she responds. A participant in my program reported that after implementing intentional polarity with a woman he was seeing, she confessed, "It's so refreshing to be with a man who knows what he wants and isn't afraid to show it." He didn't change his personality. He just stopped suppressing his essential nature. If you are enjoying this content and are already visualizing how to apply these techniques, leave a comment with magnetic so I know you are committed to this transformation. And subscribe to the channel to receive the next videos in this series. The third pillar of magnetic attraction is strategic detachment from outcome. This is where most men completely sabotage their chances. When you are excessively invested in the outcome of a specific interaction, that needy energy becomes palpable and repellent. Women have an almost supernatural sensitivity to detect when a man is desperate for a result. It's like a sixth sense that was evolutionarily developed to identify low-value partners. Detachment from outcome doesn't mean indifference to the person. It means emotional freedom from the specific result. When you approach an attractive woman without needing a particular outcome, you project a rare and magnetic confidence. Let's be honest, how many times have you entered an interaction already, imagining the entire relationship? The first date, the first kiss, introducing her to your friends, and then, when she doesn't show the same level of interest, you are crushed. This premature intensity is overwhelming and signals neediness. One of the most powerful exercises I've developed is what I call the abundance practice. For 30 days, you commit to starting conversations with attractive women without any intention beyond the conversation itself. No expectations, no desired outcomes, just the experience itself. The results are surprising. First, the absence of pressure allows you to be authentically present, and authentic presence is incredibly attractive. Second, you develop a true abundance mindset, the visceral understanding that there are countless opportunities and no specific interaction determines your value. Third, paradoxically, your success rate skyrockets. A student applied strategic detachment for just 2 weeks. At first, he reported extreme anxiety, the fear of missing opportunities. By the end, not only did he have more phone numbers and dates scheduled than in the previous 6 months, but he reported a deeper transformation. For the first time, I don't care if any of them don't reply. I know there will be others, and that changed everything. Ask yourself, how much of your current behavior is motivated by the fear of rejection? How much of your strategy is based on trying to avoid losing a specific opportunity? This scarcity mindset is possibly your biggest obstacle. And here's the twist nobody tells you. When you truly don't need her, that's exactly when she will desire you most. The fourth pillar of magnetic attraction, and possibly the most powerful, is primal masculine purpose. This is the principle that transforms attraction into obsession. Women are naturally attracted to men with a greater purpose that transcends relationships. It's no coincidence that musicians, artists, entrepreneurs, athletes, and leaders of all types exert a disproportionate attraction. They embody the man on the path of his purpose. The fatal mistake many men make is placing women at the center of their lives. They make female conquest their primary purpose. And paradoxically, this makes them intensely unattractive. When your central purpose is something beyond relationships, your mission, vision, career, art, impact on the world, you become gravitationally attractive. Not because you are trying to attract, but because you are genuinely focused on something meaningful. This is not a psychological trick. It is a fundamental reorganization of your life. From today, you will completely reorient your paradigm. Instead of pursuing female validation, you will pursue excellence. Instead of building your life around attracting women, you will build a life so rich in purpose that women will consider it a privilege to be a part of it. Over the next 21 days, I challenge you to dedicate 80% of the energy you normally spend thinking about women and redirect it towards your purpose: gym, business, art, skills, knowledge. You are not doing this to impress them. You are doing it for yourself, and the side effect will be a gravitational force of attraction that few women will be able to resist. A program participant, a 37-year-old engineer, hadn't been in a significant relationship for 3 years. He dedicated daily hours to dating apps, messaging, and attraction strategies, with mediocre results. When he redirected this energy towards an innovative project in his field, something surprising happened. In 2 months, he not only advanced professionally but reported, "Women who never noticed me before are initiating conversations." A female colleague who barely spoke to me suggested we grab coffee. It's like I discovered a superpower. How much daily time do you dedicate to your growth versus how much time do you spend pursuing female validation? This is the question that will separate your life before and after this video. If you followed along this far and feel these ideas resonate deeply, hit the bell icon to be notified when I release the continuation of this content, and share this with that friend you know needs to hear this. The fifth and final pillar of magnetic attraction is what I call unshakable emotional self-sufficiency. It is your armor against manipulation, emotional games, and toxic behaviors. Most men live in a state of chronic emotional dependency. Their emotions are constantly manipulated by female validation or rejection. An unanswered message ruins their day. A compliment sends them on cloud 9. This emotional volatility is deeply unattractive. Emotional self-sufficiency means your internal state is not determined by external factors, especially female approval. You maintain emotional stability regardless of her behavior. This quality is so rare in the modern man that when a woman finds it, it is almost shocking and magnetically attractive. How do you develop this self-sufficiency? First, through awareness. Start observing how your emotional state fluctuates based on external validation. Just this awareness begins to create distance between you and your automatic reactions. Second, deliberately practice maintaining emotional equanimity in the face of triggers. When she doesn't reply to your message, observe the impulse to feel anxiety or insecurity, but don't become those emotions. When she tests your boundaries, observe the desire to cave in to please her, but hold your ground with unshakable tranquility. Third, develop internal sources of validation. Your identity and worth cannot be anchored in female approval. They need to be grounded in your values, achievements, and self-definition. One of the most transformed participants in my program was a 42-year-old man who was in an emotionally abusive relationship. His partner used constant emotional manipulation, veiled threats of breaking up, comparisons to other men, intentional jealousy-inducing behavior. Why? Because it worked. She knew he was emotionally dependent on her. After developing emotional self-sufficiency for just 60 days, the dynamic completely shifted. The first time she tried to manipulate him with a threat of breaking up, instead of begging and appeasing, as before, he responded calmly, "I understand you feel that way. If you believe that's what's best for you, I will respect your decision." No drama, no overreaction. The result? She never used that tactic again. In fact, the entire relationship rebalanced. 6 months later, she confessed, "You've become a completely different man. I've never felt so much security and attraction as I do now." Emotional self-sufficiency isn't just attractive, it's your protection against toxic relationships and manipulation. It is possibly the most important skill you can develop as a man. Have you noticed how you overreact when an attractive woman shows disapproval? This is your last barrier to true relational freedom. Now let's put it all together. The 5 pillars of magnetic attraction work synergistically to create an irresistible masculine presence. Emotional scarcity. Value your time and energy. Become selective with your attention. Intentional masculine polarity. Embrace qualities like decisiveness, direction, and presence. Strategic detachment from outcome. Free yourself from the need for specific results. Primal masculine purpose. Place your mission at the center of your life, not women. Unshakable emotional self-sufficiency. Develop internal stability independent of external validation. When these 5 elements align, you not only transform your dating life, you fundamentally transform your experience as a man in the modern world. But let's be realistic. This transformation doesn't happen overnight. It's a process of continuous recalibration. You will make mistakes. There will be moments of falling back into old patterns. What matters is the overall direction, the commitment to consistently evolve. The question now is, which of these pillars will you implement first? Where will you start your transformation? In the comments, leave which of the 5 pillars resonates most with you at this moment in your life. And if you felt this content can help other men who are going through what you have already gone through, share this video. Your recommendation can transform someone's life. There is a 6th element I haven't mentioned yet, and perhaps it is the most important. It is what separates those who truly transform their reality from those who merely passively consume content. I will talk about it exclusively for my subscribers in the next video. If you haven't subscribed yet, now is the time. For years, I have observed a consistent pattern among men who implemented these principles. Not only did their dating lives transform, but their entire sense of masculine identity. They became more focused, productive, confident in all areas. Women became a beautiful complement to their lives, not the desperate center of their existence. My promise to you is simple. If you apply these principles consistently over the next 90 days, you will not only transform your dynamic with women, you will fundamentally transform your relationship with yourself. And that ultimately is the deepest transformation a man can experience. Let's examine the first pillar more deeply, emotional scarcity. You need to understand that this is not a manipulative game of playing hard to get. It is a genuine reorientation of your priorities. When you are constantly available, sending incessant messages, adapting your schedule to accommodate her every opening, you are unconsciously communicating. My time has little value. My priorities are flexible. You are more important than anything in my life. Authentic emotional scarcity begins with a simple question. If I were a man of extreme value with clear purpose and abundant options, how would I distribute my emotional energy? The answer would never be to obsessively pursue a single woman who shows minimal interest. Start implementing these habits over the next 14 days. Review your recent conversations. Observe the ratio between messages sent and received. If you are consistently sending more, investing more, this needs to change immediately. Set strict boundaries for your availability. A man with purpose has commitments, responsibilities, priorities. His schedule is not perpetually open. When she suggests a time that conflicts with your priorities, even if it's just your gym time or reading, stick to your original commitment. Practice replying briefly. Most men try to impress with elaborate, long, detailed messages. They believe this shows interest and intelligence. In reality, it communicates overinvestment. Concise, direct replies, with occasional strategic delays, create curiosity and interest. One of my students implemented emotional scarcity radically. He had the habit of replying instantly to any message from her, day or night. We implemented a simple rule: no reply before 3 hours, regardless of the message. The first few days were agonizing for him. The anxiety of appearing uninterested, the fear of losing her. On the 7th day, she sent, "You seem different lately, busier." On the 10th day, she started initiating substantive conversations for the first time. On the 20th day, she suggested a date, something she had never done before. The psychology behind this is simple. When you become less available, she starts working harder to keep your attention. The entire dynamic reverses. Let's now address the second pillar, intentional masculine polarity. This is possibly the most misunderstood concept in modern relationship dynamics. Contemporary society often suggests that men and women are essentially identical, not just in rights and value, which is absolutely true, but also in psychology, behavior, and desires, which ignores biological and psychological realities. Sexual polarity, the magnetic tension between masculine and feminine, is the foundation of romantic attraction. When you soften your masculine energy, trying to be neutral or safe, you inadvertently eliminate the very tension that creates desire. Authentic masculinity has nothing to do with toxic aggression or domination. It is about qualities like presence, decisiveness, protectiveness, purpose, integrity. It is the energy that creates a space where femininity can naturally flourish. How do you develop intentional masculine polarity? Start with small daily decisions. When planning a date, don't vaguely ask, "What do you want to do?" Offer clear direction. "I'll meet you at 8 at that new cafe downtown. They have the best coffee in town." The ability to make confident decisions without being authoritarian is deeply attractive. In conversations, practice direct statements instead of constant hesitation. Compare, "I kinda think maybe the current economic policy is problematic," versus "the current economic policy is fundamentally flawed for these reasons." The second demonstrates conviction, a magnetic quality. Physically work on your posture, eye contact, and presence. Body language communicates more about your masculinity than words ever can. Shoulders back, chest open, deliberate movements, voice projected from the diaphragm. These elements might seem superficial, but they signal primal confidence. A program participant had the habit of agreeing with everything his partner suggested, believing this made him thoughtful. In reality, it was exhausting for her to make all the decisions. When he started offering direction, not imposition, but clear direction, the dynamic changed completely. She reported, "It's like a weight has been lifted off my shoulders. Now I can relax and trust you." Well-executed masculine polarity doesn't restrict female autonomy. In fact, it creates the space where she can flourish without carrying all the responsibility for direction. The third pillar, strategic detachment from outcome, is possibly the most transformative in daily practice. Most men approach interactions with women as transactions, investment of time, energy, resources, with an implicit expectation of emotional or physical return. When that return doesn't come, they feel frustration, resentment, even anger, emotions that are instantly noticeable and deeply repellent. Detachment from outcome means you genuinely appreciate the interaction for its own sake, without expectation of specific progression. You are completely present in the moment, without anxiety about the future. This is not indifference or apathy. On the contrary, it allows for more authentic connection because you are not constantly calculating the next move, judging if she is matching you adequately. The most powerful exercise for developing this detachment is what I call the extreme abundance practice. For 30 days, you commit to approaching double your normal number of women. But, and this is the crucial element, you mentally discard each interaction as soon as it's over. You don't keep mentally revisiting the conversation, analyzing signals, imagining future possibilities. You appreciate the moment and then release it completely. This practice teaches your nervous system, on a visceral level, that opportunities are abundant, eliminating the scarcity mindset that creates desperate attachment. A 29-year-old student had developed severe social anxiety after multiple rejections. Each new interaction carried the cumulative weight of all his previous failures. After implementing the abundance practice for just 3 weeks, his experience completely transformed. "For the first time in years," he reported, "I'm not obsessively analyzing every interaction. I'm no longer looking for validation in every word or gesture. The irony? I'm getting more phone numbers, more dates, and deeper connections than in my entire adult life." Ask yourself honestly, how much of your social anxiety comes from the fear of rejection? How much of your current strategy is based on trying to maximize every opportunity for fear there won't be others? This scarcity mindset is possibly your biggest obstacle. The fourth pillar, primal masculine purpose, is where superficial transformation becomes fundamental life redesign. Men without clear purpose often fill this void by seeking female validation. They turn the pursuit and retention of attractive women into their main mission. The problem? This creates a cycle of emotional dependency that is intrinsically unattractive. Women are instinctively attracted to men in motion, men pursuing something greater than romantic validation. The reason is evolutionarily logical. A man with purpose demonstrates the capacity to provide, protect, and lead, ancestrally valuable qualities. Developing primal purpose begins with a fundamental question. If all the women in the world disappeared tomorrow, what would be my reason for waking up? What would I build, create, pursue? The answer reveals your authentic purpose. It could Be career, art, business, social cause, intellectual, spiritual, or physical pursuit. The specific content matters less than the intensity of your commitment to it. A 34-year-old client had turned dating into a full-time hobby. Apps, techniques, strategies consumed 20+ hours a week. His results? Mediocre. We redirected that same energy towards an entrepreneurial project he had postponed for years. 3 months later, his business was showing promising signs. But the most surprising result was in his dating life. I'm so focused I barely have time for apps now. Ironic, women in my professional circle are initiating conversations, suggesting coffee. It's like they sense I have more important things going on. This is the central paradox of attraction. When women become a secondary goal instead of the primary one, your attractiveness increases exponentially. Starting today, I challenge you to honestly account for how much time you spend thinking about, planning for, or pursuing women, and gradually redirect that energy towards your greater purpose. Not all at once, that would be unsustainable. Start with 25% of that energy, increase to 50% in 2 weeks, 75% in a month. If this content is resonating deeply, and you realize how many opportunities you missed by not knowing these principles before, share this video with that friend you know needs to hear this. Sometimes, a single insight at the right moment can completely transform a life. The fifth and final pillar, unshakable emotional self-sufficiency, is your protection against manipulation and toxic relationships. Healthy masculine emotional vulnerability is becoming more accepted in contemporary society, which is extremely positive. However, there is a crucial line between healthy vulnerability and dysfunctional emotional dependency. Emotional self-sufficiency means your internal well-being doesn't depend on external validation, especially female approval. You are not at the mercy of others' moods, opinions, or behaviors. You maintain internal balance regardless of external circumstances. This quality is so rare in the modern man that when a woman encounters it, it is deeply impactful and magnetically attractive. Developing emotional self-sufficiency is a 3-part process. First, identify your specific emotional triggers. What female behaviors destabilize your internal state? Unanswered messages, last-minute cancellations, jealousy tests? Simple observation already creates distance between you and your automatic reactions. Second, develop daily emotional self-regulation practices. Meditation, deep breathing, intense exercise. These are not just wellness habits. They are practical tools for developing a resilient nervous system that maintains stability under social pressure. Third, and most importantly, recalibrate your identity so that external validation is preferable but not necessary. Your worth as a man needs to be grounded internally, in your values, achievements, and self-definition, not in female approval. A 39-year-old client was in a relationship with a classic push and pull pattern. When she pulled away, he intensified his efforts, excessive messages, unsolicited gifts, intense emotional declarations. Each cycle increased his desperation and decreased her attraction. After 3 months developing emotional self-sufficiency, the next time she pulled away, he responded completely differently. Instead of pursuing, he calmly said, "I realize you need space. I will respect that. I'll be here when you want to talk." Then, and this is crucial, he redirected energy towards his own growth. The result shocked both of them. Instead of the familiar cycle of prolonged distancing, she reached out to him in just 3 days. "I've never seen you respond like that," she said. "Normally you get so anxious that I feel suffocated. Something has changed in you." The transformation wasn't in her behavior. It was in his emotional response to the behavior. That is the essence of self-sufficiency. The combination of these 5 pillars creates what I call gravitational masculine presence, a force of attraction that operates on an almost subconscious level. You are not trying to attract. You simply exist in a state of such high authentic value that attraction occurs naturally. But let's be brutally honest, this transformation doesn't happen instantly. It's a process of continuous recalibration that requires relentless self-awareness and deliberate practice. You will face internal resistance. Old patterns will fight to survive. There will be moments where the impulse to revert to familiar behaviors will be almost irresistible. It is in these moments that your determination will be tested. The path I have outlined is not for everyone. Many will prefer the comfort of superficial techniques, conversational tricks, and short-term manipulation. But for the man committed to authentic transformation, these 5 pillars offer a framework to not only revolutionize his dating life, but to completely redefine his masculine identity. The question now is, are you ready for this journey? Are you willing to abandon the dysfunctional patterns that have limited your results until now? Are you prepared to become the man who naturally attracts instead of the man who desperately pursues? In the comments, share which of these 5 pillars represents your biggest current challenge. And if you felt this content touched a deep truth, subscribe to the channel for the continuation of this series. In the next video, I will reveal the 3 biggest pitfalls that bring men down even when they are implementing these principles correctly. Your journey to genuine magnetic attraction begins now, not with artificial techniques, but with the most authentic and powerful version of yourself.